Synchronicity University has some absolutely incredible programs starting very soon this September. As low as just $5 a class with our world famous Choose Your Tuition rate. You can learn a lot more and sign up now at synchronicityuniversity.com. Hello, fabulous friends, fans, and superstars. Welcome to your horoscope for the week of August 25th, 2024. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. It is a remarkable astrological week, without a doubt. Big moves happening in the sky now. Boy, is this a very special time, and it truly is special. This week has a few moments of big news, and one of the biggest involves the fact that on Wednesday, Mercury goes direct. Mercury will go direct in the sign of Leo, a heart-oriented part of the sky. And if ever there was a heart-centered wake-up call, this really would be it. And it's not just because Mercury is changing directions. And whenever a planet changes directions, it is closer to the Earth than it might otherwise be. It is at the height of its power. And with Mercury, we're talking about how we're seeing, perceiving, understanding. Mercury direct is notorious for bringing moments of clarity that have us in disbelief about how wrong we had it. But this particular Mercury direct is special because it is part of a larger configuration that astrologers call a grand sextile. And that is, it is Mercury that is speaking in supreme harmony with Chiron, while Chiron and Mercury both are having harmonious conversations with Mars. And Mars ends up acting as an anchor between the two, Chiron and Mercury direct. Chiron is famously the wounded healer. And whenever Chiron is activated, it means vulnerability. We are feeling vulnerable within our own selves. We feel like our emotions are very much on the surface. We're feeling aware of where it is that perhaps meaningful healing needs to take place. When it is Mars activated, well, Mars is about taking ownership for our power, having a sense of self-knowledge and being so deeply connected to it within that we feel whole. And that is what the circle of Mars represents. The arrow arising from the circle, which is what the glyph of Mars is. Well, that is making choices to behave in a way to direct that self-knowledge towards the outcomes we desire. And so we have here Mars in the sign of Gemini. Gemini is an air sign. It has to do with conversations, very often those that are spontaneous. It's an energy that likes and can multitask. It can have a lot going on. It can hold many ideas at once, as they say, walk and chew gum at the same time. But it's also an energy that's very open to others. That's the nature of air signs themselves. Whereas fire, with Mercury direct in a fire sign, Leo, and Chiron in a fire sign, Aries, that is about acknowledging our own power, but also knowing that there is something within us that we consider special. And as a result, we're willing to nurture it. We're willing to let that flame burn bright, be creative, and let that energy spring forward so that it can shine or be seen, as is the case with Leo. But with Aries, it's about so that we can live it. We can live our specialness. We can be our truth. We can be present for ourselves, and we can be whom it is that we really are. And our understanding of heart and self is likely going to be anchored through mind as part of this larger configuration. And it is the welcoming in of ideas, the welcoming in of synchronistic, seemingly random interactions with others, that we find the words that we need to understand what it is that we now are becoming more clear of. And the process itself, well, it heals us. It ends up being deeply meaningful. There's nothing quite like meeting someone that you haven't met before and speaking of things that make you feel or make them feel truly seen, truly understood by sharing an experience or just a moment of empathy. For some of us, it's easier to connect in the spontaneous ways than it might be for others. But if we allow ourselves to have these experiences, how might we be blessed or find ourselves feeling fortunate as a result of that exchange that we would not have otherwise felt had we not allowed the exchange to happen to begin with? Gemini is also a sign associated with youth, and Mercury has a very youthful, sort of timeless nature to it as well. And so you add these together, and it speaks to a sense of being open to learning, open to new information, and being surprised by where that information just might come from. One of the key characteristics of youth is innocence, and being willing to engage others does require a sense of innocence. It requires a sense of trust, knowing that you can welcome other people in, but also keep yourself safe, however you might need to, emotionally, spiritually, and otherwise as well. With vulnerability so heightened with the activation of Chiron, it is in being willing to engage anyways that we end up healing something very profound within. We end up feeling seen for something that is authentic and something that burns very bright within us. And that changes our perception of our lives, but also of ourselves, of our understanding of what we are truly wanting in our heart of hearts and what it is to live a heart-centered life. Mercury has been retrograde for the last 3 weeks, went retrograde on the 5th of August, but it was going way back to the 17th of July that Mercury first stepped into shadow. And when a planet, in this case Mercury, steps into shadow, it means that it starts to walk a path that it will, or the planet will eventually walk backwards over. And then along that path will eventually stand still, as is the case now, and then move forward again in direct shadow. So where Mercury is on Wednesday, and for this week really, is where Mercury was going all the way back to the 17th of July, give or take a couple days on either side. And I would invite you to consider what might have been happening for you way back then. Because whatever is taking place now in at least one area of life, chances are we may see it very differently in some way. We may realize that what we were understanding before, what we were seeing before, was actually guided by our own wounds, by the things that have us feeling vulnerable, the things that we think might never heal, those things that feel like they bring a sense of doubt to the surface. And it is in seeing it differently now that the healing actually occurs. Venus is a super active principle this week as well, connecting with all kinds of power players, part of the energy that feels like it is very much on the move. It is going to be on Monday that Venus will connect in supreme harmony with Uranus. I'm so excited about this energy. Of course, this is Venus, goddess of love, and so this is the perfect vibration for romantic surprises that go exceedingly well. And it's also a sense of being able to engage whatever it is that we do to celebrate our unique beauty. Well, if we're changing things up or we're experimenting, well, when Venus trines Uranus, we like the outcomes that much more. However, there is a bit of a caveat here, and that is that the following day, Venus will be across the sky from Neptune. And these two energies couldn't be more unalike than they are here, where Uranus trine Venus brings with it surprises and delight. It is the opposition of Neptune that brings with it malaise and uncertainty. it can bring with it a sense of some confusion and maybe even disappointment. And I'm so sorry to say, but it does happen. And whenever Neptune is involved, our expectations get involved as well. And this is a chance to look at where our expectations actually are, where they are reasonable, and where maybe they are not. Where having certain expectations is actually good. And even if it feels disappointing, having some sort of a boundary is actually what we need. Even if the outcome means sadness, right? It can be lost sometimes if you are putting down a boundary with somebody who's not willing to respect that boundary. However, there can also be real empowerment found when we embrace the sadness for what we'd hoped for that didn't end up manifesting, but we know that we did the thing that ultimately allows Venus to shine her light on us because we demonstrated self-love in the process. Venus at the beginning of the week is in the sign of Virgo. And I said to you the other day, well, last week, with Virgo, the phrase for Virgo is the proof is in the pudding, right? The proof is in the details, in the actions. That's what shows you the real intent and the truth of motivation or what's really going on. And as we have Venus in Virgo, that opposition to Neptune sort of throws it all off. And so, yeah, we might be seeing some details, but we may need to pace ourselves before we really decipher and find a deeper understanding of just what that's going to mean for us. And that deeper understanding comes rather quickly. It is on Thursday that Venus will move into the sign of Libra and immediately set up a trine with Pluto, a supremely harmonious alignment with Pluto. Pluto is now at the very beginning of fellow air sign Aquarius, and next week is going to retrograde out of Aquarius. I know I told you this last week as well. September 1st is a huge astrological day. Now, I'll try to post something in advance of that, but you know I'll talk about it next week as well. The energy of September 1st that we start next week with, we are going to feel it in the ether with a week like this. And that is because at the start of next week, we will have two phenomenon taking place, and that is Uranus going retrograde, so Uranus standing still in the sky this week at the height of its power, preparing to change directions, and on the same day, Pluto retrograding out and moving back into the sign of Capricorn for a few weeks. It's like its last stand. It is the last hurrah, as they say, for Pluto in Capricorn before Pluto moves on and nestles into the sign of Aquarius for the next 2 decades. That full-on transit beginning that much more completely is going to take place for us starting in November. I'll be here to talk about it every step of the way. Now, having said that, it is this trine to Pluto that ends up being so significant. Venus itself right now is strong as she moves into the sign of Libra because this is her home sign, one of her home signs. It was Socrates who was not an astrologer and didn't say anything about the astrological Venus, but he did talk about Aphrodite, and he discusses in the symposium the difference between celestial Aphrodite and earthly Aphrodite. And I've always considered this a wonderful distinction when looking at Venus in the context of her co-rulership of Taurus, which is earthly Aphrodite. It is the pleasures of the five senses of the earthly incarnation. We are incarnated for a reason, and it isn't always just to go through challenges. It is also to enjoy this incarnation as well, and earthly Aphrodite reminds us to do that. But celestial Aphrodite is interested in higher forms of beauty, what Socrates identified as the beauty found in architecture and symmetry, and yes, in ideas as well. It is the beauty of balance that we find with celestial Aphrodite. And that's what is evoked whenever it is that Venus comes home to the sign of Libra. We are invited to elevate our understanding of our own unique beauty, how we're going to appreciate that, and how it is that we're going to celebrate that, where we find it, where we define it for ourselves. With Pluto trining, it heightens the sense of individuality. Pluto is in the sign of Aquarius, a sign that has a strong dichotomy to it. It is at once about the collective, but also hyper individual. It is at once anti-celebrity, but also saying that each of us is special, each of us is a celebrity, each of us deserves to shine and be acknowledged and to be celebrated. And so you have Pluto in Aquarius speaking in supreme harmony with celestial Aphrodite, and you can see here this ends up being a powerfully transformative moment for a lot of us out there, in the way that we might understand the truth of what love is and what love isn't for us, the truth of what authentic beauty is for us and isn't for us, and the truth of the powerfully transformative power of making those distinctions, of realizing which is which for us. It is an understanding the root of what's really going on, what's happening at the core and the center, and changing things there, that everything changes. And what could be more profound than facilitating change within ourselves? By adamantly deciding that we are going to go for an authentic love for ourselves and for others. We are going to go for substance. We are going to go for what feels and is real, rather than what is simply superficial, what looks good or what feels good in a moment. We're going to go for our own validation rather than the validation of others, because we can't or won't do the work to give it to ourselves. If there's a larger theme playing out this week, that really is it. We are on a course of self-understanding, of self-healing now. And we have the potential to feel that vibration deep within us on a level of heart and mind. And it is mind that mediates a sense of positive change and positive realizations, but ultimately it's all set up to lead us towards love, as we may uniquely define it. What I love about this week for us, there's so much here. It is a powerful and meaningful astrological moment. Well, I am going to say this week, I love Venus trine Pluto. I think that's a huge energy. Of course, Mercury going direct, also a hugely important energy as part of a grand sextile configuration. This is a chance to heal on different fronts. The grand sextile says that we are seeing ourselves and our light and our power and our specialness more vividly and brightly as a result of being open to synchronistic moments and exchanges with others. But it is Pluto trine Venus that is saying love itself is a force of power. It is a force of transformation. And when it is that we adamantly choose to love ourselves, to accept ourselves, to be ourselves, well, that decision, and it is a decision, but it has this ability to facilitate sweeping changes in just about every area of life. And it can serve as one of these turning point moments, really, of a lifetime, where we realized that as a result of what we came to understand now, everything got better. Well, thank you so much for watching. What do you love about this week? Let me know in the comments below. I love reading you guys, and to prove it to you, here's some of my most recent favorite comments. Thank you to everybody who likes, who comments, who subscribes, who shares, who thumbs up. All of it means so much. I'm so grateful for you. Thank you. And of course, if you want to know how all this wonderful stuff this week speaks to you in your sign, log on to NadiyaShahSuperstars.com, where you get expanded exclusive video scopes for each and every sign for as low as just $3 a month with choose your membership rate. Higher tiers get you things like all access passes to Synchronicity University events, consultations with me, and so much more. All of this in the superstar space at NadiyaShahSuperstars.com. Links are in the description below. Synchronicity University presents the last full week to choose your tuition rate as low as just $5 a class, an unheard of rate to learn from this caliber of astrologer as part of our September programs, which are literally right around the corner. They start next week. This is so exciting. I'm going to start with my own class called Many Happy Returns. This is looking at planetary return charts. This is a powerful tool to use where it comes to understanding techniques of prediction. Return charts, including the lunar return, the solar return, the Mars return, the Venus return, the Jupiter and Saturn return as well, are what we're going to look at. And I was inspired with this class by someone who reached out and said that they wanted to put together like sort of personalized monthly horoscopes for themselves. And I thought to myself, well, look, this was something I do with lunar return charts. It is something I do for myself. And yeah, I would love to teach that. I mean, I love to teach, and especially things that I know can help people use astrology to live better, to live in alignment, to learn about themselves. And I believe that's what this class is going to be doing for all who participate. You've got about a week left to choose your tuition rate, to learn about these different return charts, and you can even just learn a whole lot more about what I will be teaching if you go over to synchronicityuniversity.com. And I look forward to meeting you in class. Links are in the description below. Synchronicity University presents the one and only, the truly amazing Cameron Allen. Cameron has emerged as a leader in the field of holistic health astrology. He is just such a bright star, and it is incredible to continue to watch him shine, to watch him receive more and more recognition. I'm so incredibly proud of him, and I love working with him as well. And he's back at Synchronicity University, and it is deepening the studies of holistic health astrology by understanding remedies, right? This is where we get very proactive with astrology. We look at the chart and we figure out what it is that you may need to help bring balance, to help bring an improved sense of well-being and health. And astrologers have done this for millennia, literal millennia. In fact, medieval astrologers were also doctors, and doctors were astrologers. And when you went to the doctor, it was not uncommon for the doctor to ask you your birth date. And very quickly, sort of off the top of their head, they could put together a chart that was actually quite accurate because they understood the cycles of the planets. And using that, they were able to begin to diagnose, considering your chart in the process. Well, as they came up with diagnoses, they came up with treatments, and treatments included all kinds of things like different types of foods, herbs, and mantras in the case of holistic health astrology, stones as well. These are all ways in which planetary remedies have been used for literal millennia, and it is going to be Cameron Allen that's going to teach you how to do just that. Be really proactive with your holistic health. With the one and only Cameron Allen. Now, you've got a week left as we start this week to choose your tuition rate as low as just $5 a class to learn from Cameron Allen. And I will add, Cameron has been generous enough, kind enough to offer his previous courses at the same low $5 class rate. And so you can purchase those as add-ons as well when you go over to his page at synchronicityuniversity.com. Links are in the description below. Synchronicity University has an absolutely incredible speaker series coming up this September, and we're doing something a little bit different this time, which is we have a theme. And the theme is home. We're going to be focusing in on matters related to the home. And wow, we've got this very special bunch of people. I've loved getting to know them. I am going to start with Jill Loftus of Nui Astrology. Now, I know you know her because she's on my channel. She's been on my channel. I love her as an astrologer so very much. And she's going to help us to understand the fourth house in astrology. And she actually did a wonderful talk with me where she looked at planets in the fourth house in the natal chart. So if you've got any planets there, you want to check out the interview that I did with her. And that is here up on my channel now. Key Tyler is coming to Synchronicity University and is going to be teaching about the water houses. Also, a wonderful interview that I did with her as well. And this is about understanding them as kingdoms of the soul and how powerful it is to connect with your fourth, eighth, and 12th house as part of feeling more at home within yourself, within your space, and in the world. Melanie Rose is going to bring insights into comfort and the moon and lunations and how understanding these in the chart can help you to be that much more in touch with whatever home is for you and to honor that much more completely. Now, as part of the interview that I did with her, she went through the different moon signs. So you might want to check that out because the moon is emotional equilibrium. It is being at peace with yourself that's represented. And you've got to honor the energy, the sign qualities of the moon in order to find that. And what one moon sign needs, like for example, a Taurus moon needs versus a Sagittarius moon like myself needs, are very, very different to feel at home. And she explores that in that interview and is going to go even into more depth with that in this class. Meghna Bhagat is somebody that I met about 2 years ago at the ESAR conference, a brilliant astrologer. And she's coming to Synchronicity University. And it's about being at home with your chart, making peace with your chart. You know, I'm reminded of Jesse Innocent, who taught recently at Synchronicity University. And you can find him online, of course, but he said, you know, Pluto's got to go somewhere. Mars has got to go somewhere. And that is part of, I think, being at peace with your chart, being at home with your chart. And Meghna's going to help us with that and so much more. And Lady Jessamine is bringing the magic. And this is somebody who practices rituals to the moon and is going to help you to understand what rituals help you to create a happy and protected home using magic for yourself. So you can see here, we've got an incredible bunch of people, so much to look forward to here with the September speaker series at Synchronicity University, focusing in on home, such an important topic, as low as just $5 a class, just for another week. And you can learn a whole lot more about these classes and sign up now at synchronicityuniversity.com. And thank you. Thank you so much for this moment with you. Thank you for your trust. I'm so grateful for it. Thank you for the wonderful affirming words and your enthusiasm for my work. I just cannot thank you enough for all of that. And I want to take a moment to thank the students at Synchronicity University, my students in particular at Kepler and at Synchronicity University, for their enthusiasm and openness with the lessons and the different ways in which some of them have been delivered over the course of this last month. And I'm really looking forward to being back with you guys live and in person this September. And of course, my superstars as well, an extraordinary group, constantly sent me healing vibes. Gosh, I love you guys so much. And of course, all the friends and fans, you being here, all of it means so very much to me. So thank you. And I know I'll have a lot more to share about that in the unfolding ahead as I continue to make sense of the fact that I had to be isolated for that extended period of time. Very unusual for me, but very profound as well. And I hope that it shows in the quality of my work in the period ahead. So thank you so much again, and thank you again for watching. It'll be a great week. Enjoy.